Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey, first off, guys, I wanted to apologize. I haven't dropped any videos here recently. This time of year, my work is extremely busy and taxing. I've been getting home late every day and pretty much getting home just in time to, eat dinner, do a few chores, and go to bed. So it's just the time of the year. However, in January, I've spoken on a recent video that I'm going to be starting a weekly podcast. At first, it's just going to be once a week. We'll see how it goes. If it does well, we might bump it up 2 or 3 times a week. It's something that's been on my heart for a while that I've been really wanting to do. And that is to do an NDE OBE podcast. And it may be other subjects, spiritual subjects, metaphysical subjects and such. But I think that the NDE and the OBE information is just so important right now for humanity. We've got to remember who and what we are and why we came here and what we can do, because so many people feel powerless right now, and just feels like this whole world's just spinning out of control. And I mean, they're hammering us with MK Ultra tactics 24/7 right now. I mean, it's crazy, folks. If you told me 10 years ago what we've gone through in the last 5 years or so, I wouldn't even believe it. I mean, even of my mind, trying to figure out what these people are up to all the time, and all the research and conspiracies that I've dug down in, and rabbit holes I've dove into. Man, I mean, they're literally MK Ultraing us right now with drones and stuff, with high military tech drones. I mean, and it's just insane, folks. I want to do a video about that. I'm still researching and looking into that. I don't want to come out with any kind of conclusive statements yet about the whole drone thing. I have mixed ideas about it, mixed thoughts, and so I haven't jumped into that fray yet. Everybody's coming out, saying this and that for sure, but I think it's a mix of things. So anyways, but they are trying to do trauma-based mind control on everybody. They're trying their hardest. It's been a non-stop attack against humanity that has been ramped up, especially for about the last 6 to 8 months. It's just been unbelievable, folks. I mean, it's almost like unreal. I mean, look, I understand that this is a game, okay? I understand this is the simulation, but it's still crazy when you see what they're trying to do right now. I mean, wow. But I wanted to switch gears here, folks. I wanted to actually do something. I wanted to give you guys a testimonial, and I wanted to give you guys hopefully a tool that could help you. And I have spoken about this in a couple interviews that I've been interviewed on YouTube channels and stuff. And some of you have probably not caught it. So I wanted to talk about this, and maybe I have in some of my other energy healing videos and such, but look, folks, I just want you to understand, I'm not some hippy dippy, a few little hippie things I like, okay, I'll be honest, got a little bit of, look, I'm a centrist, I believe in balancing out your left and your right. So, there's some things, but, I'm not some weird out there, far out person, okay? I try to also stay grounded in reality too, and at least what we consider reality. But this is something that everybody can do, everybody has a right to do, and everybody was born to do. But if you don't know, you don't know, and if you don't work with it, you'll never know. And And many master teachers over time, including Yeshua, were trying to teach us this simple truth. And what I'm talking about, folks, is natural energy healing. And I'm not talking about doing it on somebody else. I'm talking about self-healing here, folks, okay? So, for those of you that have heard my story, it's okay, but for those of you that haven't, so back when I was about 18, 19 years old, I moved out on my own right after high school. I had a buddy that was a year older than me, and he'd already bought his first house, and he was looking for roommates, and I was kind of going back and forth between joining the Navy. I was accepted into a college in northern Colorado, and I was also a manager already, a young manager at a job I was working at. So I had like 3 different paths to take, and anyways, I was kind of going back and forth, but I decided, well, I'm going to take a year off instead of going right into college, while I figure out if the Navy's right for me, if this job is right to just keep climbing the ladder, or to go into college, So I really had 3 choices, and so I moved out. Anyways, great times living on my own, 18 years old, right out of high school, Well, me and my friends, we used to, after work and stuff, we used to meet up at this basketball court, a few times a week, and we would play just some street ball basketball. And, it's just one of the little side sports I always loved, growing up. I could still hit some decent hoops, too. And we were playing this one day against this group of kids. They were actually from the varsity team from the school that I went to. And here, we were doing 3v3, and my 2 friends, they were just like me. None of us played for the high school team. I played soccer. They played other sports, but we liked getting together and doing some street balling. Anyways, we're smoking these guys, and they're getting all upset, because they're, on the varsity team, the high school team, and, they were kind of cocky. And here we are. My one friend is wearing baggy jeans and stuff, and, this is back in, the late 90s, it was probably like 99 or 2000. And anyways, I went up for the shot, and this guy knocked me over, and I kind of fell off balance, and I went to catch myself, and I caught my right hand. I kind of landed on it on the concrete with my full weight. And man, it just killed. I mean, just absolutely killed. And it started swelling up like right away. And so I had to call it a day for basketball. And, I thought, I just, bruised it or something. But man, for the next few days, my hand was just excruciating pain. Well, one of my hand, the bone on my right side of my hand, the outside bone there, underneath my pinky finger, I broke that bone in half. Like I was feeling it through the bruising or through the swelling, and I could feel it indented, like the bone, not a good feeling. And well, I had a problem going on because yes, I was working as a manager at a retail store, but because I had just gotten out of high school, I was still I had been under my parents' insurance. I had just got booted off their insurance, and I hadn't gotten insurance yet. So and I was a young guy on my own. I didn't have a lot of cash. Most of the money that I had, I was, probably wasting it on partying and, and stuff, and, speakers and CDs back then. And, I was a young guy. I was, caught up in this world, Anyways, so I didn't know what to do. So I kind of was just hoping it would get better, So I gave it a few more days, and it didn't get better. In fact, it's still very painful and swollen and bruised. And definitely a broken bone in my hand, but I didn't have the cash to go to a doctor or the insurance, so I was putting it off, trying to, see if I could save up a little bit of money. Anyways, my brother had this friend that was kind of a hippy-dippy type dude. I mean, really, not these like leftist, yuppie, progressive types you see nowadays, but like a real hippie type, into like natural living and all these like spiritual like studies and pretty cool dude, really. Little eccentric and odd, but a cool guy. Anyways, he told me about this book called the Celestine Prophecy. Well, this book was a fiction book. However, it was embedded with ancient... Well, now I know. At the time, I didn't know this. Now I know. It was embedded with ancient Hermetic teachings woven into the fabric of the storyline. And it was this kind of interesting book. It was about this like journalist from New York, and his friend gives him a call, and he's like down in Peru. And he says, you got to get down here, man. There's this crazy discovery that's been found. And there's people doing these really amazing things down here, like healing people and all this stuff. And you got to come see this, do an article on it. So anyways, the guy goes down to Peru and he meets up with this like group of people, almost like a commune. And they're doing all this interesting stuff, like healing plants and healing each other, doing all this energy work. And, it was very interesting. And it went into detail about how you can like heal plants with your energy, how you can heal other people and yourself with your energy. And so it was fantastic. I got that it was a fiction book, but it was written in a way that made it feel like it was a nonfiction book. And it was, like almost like a some spiritual guidebook, But anyways, so I read the book, like I blasted through it. I always devoured books back then. I used to be a lot better than I am now about reading books. I really I think I read that book in like 3 or 4 days. So one day I'm laying in bed and my hand is still jacked, and I'm getting worried, because I'm afraid I'm really going to be damaging myself long term. And I'm right-handed, so this is my right dominant hand. And I'm barely able to use it because I'm in so much pain, and it was hard at work dealing with it. I was having to drive with my left hand, which, back then, I used to drive. I used to hold the steering wheel with my right hand. Now I'm used to it, so because of that, now I always drive my left hand. It's kind of weird, but anyways, so one night I was laying in bed and I was thinking about that book and what it taught, and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna look into this. I'm gonna try something. I have nothing to lose at this point. And my brother's friend, he's so sure that this could help me if I try to practice it. So I'm laying in bed on my back, and I just kind of calm down. I take some deep breaths. I relax, and I start imagining like energy swirling in my stomach, in my solar plexus area. And I notice as I'm starting to do this, I start to feel heat, and I start to feel a movement building. And I just keep focusing on that, and I keep imagining like almost like like a hurricane, like that swirling motion, of it building. And I just kept imagining that, like the energy is like the eye of the storm, right? My body. And it starts getting really intense. Like my body starts vibrating, and it got so intense, the spinning feeling, that I almost started getting the same feeling that you get when you get the spins when you're really drunk. Any of you that have ever gotten drunk to that point, right? Usually it's close to when you black out, unfortunately, but I used to find it as a rush when I'd get the spins. It was, when I was a young man, I thought it was the greatest feeling ever. A lot of people puke when they get the spins, but I would get a rush, an adrenaline rush from it. But anyways, I got the same kind of sensation like the spins, but I hadn't drank, I hadn't smoked anything, I was sober, and I was getting this vibration going through my body, and this maelstrom of like energy just spinning in my body. And then I started moving that energy that was building down my arm. I focused just my intentions and my thoughts, and I imagined that I was moving that energy from the middle of my body down my arm and into my hand. And I could literally feel it moving through my arm like it was a living thing, but it was pure energy and heat. And then I get it to my hand, and I just, with all my focus and intention and all my energy and thoughts, I just focused it on my right hand. And my right hand was just vibrating like crazy. I mean, it was an intense feeling. And I held it there for quite a while. I would say about 5 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but when you're holding that kind of energy, it was a long time. And then finally, I let go. And it was just like my body was drained. I mean, I ended up passing out, sleeping like hard, probably a few minutes after that. And then the weird thing was, folks, I woke up the next day, and at first I didn't even think about it, but I got up and I went to go brush my teeth, put my contacts in, and I realized my hand wasn't having that throbbing, painful feel anymore. And it was just like a real dull, like a slightly dull ache. And I look at my hand, the swelling was gone. And I ran my fingers along that bone that you could push it through the indention. And the bone was straight. I couldn't believe it, folks. I mean, to this day, I get like that pinprick feeling, in my skin, that goosebumps. When I think about that, it was just so intense. It was like the greatest epiphany I could ever imagine. I mean, it almost seemed like it was a dream and that I made it all up the night before. But sure enough, there was a slight ache, but it wasn't bad. It was manageable. And then after another day or two, the pain went away completely. Swelling, bruising, everything completely gone. Bone totally straight. To this day, that bone is straight. There's no indentation in it like there was. It's nothing wrong. It's not like a bone that gets mended wrong. It wasn't straightened, and like if you break a bone, you got to get it lined up right, or if you don't, it'll heal at an awkward angle, and you could be crippled for life. Some people that have that happen, unless doctors have to go and re-break the bone and realign it again. But this was like perfectly straight, no knots in the bone or anything, which that's interesting too, because for those of you that know me from my Facebook page, you guys know that my son got a broken arm during a soccer game this season, badly broken in 3 places. And because while that bone was healing, it actually, there's a knot that grows where the bone had to heal. So he had like 3 knots on that bone. And now some of the knots have kind of worn down a little bit, but he still has knots on that bone where the bone healed. Well, I didn't even have the knot where the bone healed, where it was fused back together, which is interesting too. So, and I've talked about this in my interviews and stuff, but I felt so fantastic about it. I mean, it was the greatest epiphany ever. I couldn't believe it. It changed my thoughts about reality and what the human body can do, the human mind, the spirit. However, a couple weeks later, I started really falling into a little bit of not depression, but guilt. And the reason for this, folks, was because of my programming. Because I had been such a hard, deep researcher of the Bible. And, you know, you read the Old Testament, you know, about witchcraft and all that. And I started, like, thinking that, like, I had done something evil. That I had tapped into some kind of energy that we're not supposed to tap into that goes against the Bible, against God, right? And I started having second thoughts about what I did. Instead of it being a miracle, I started looking like maybe I cursed myself. And so I had to wrestle with that for a while, folks. So I actually I set aside researching anything kind of energy-wise outside of the Bible, and I dove back deep into the Bible, into, you know, the meat of the Word. That's all I ever cared about. I didn't care about these one-verse Charlie preachers and this milk of the Word crap that most of your Christians, you know, take in because they don't do their own research or anything. And I, you know, just dove back into that, trying to, like, kind of put that behind me. But then, you know, of course, years later, after that, I started actually looking outside the box of religion and the Bible, and now I know. And my wife was she's not currently practicing, but she's going to get back into it here soon. But she's a Reiki master teacher, so I understand now what energy healing is. In fact, I took a first level Reiki class. You know, I wouldn't call myself, you know, a great Reiki healer or anything, but I understand how it works, and I understand what it is. It's not witchcraft or anything. It's just utilizing the matrix and our own inner healing abilities and the power of our minds, of our spirit, and the power of symbols and stuff, and empowering symbols, like pre-programming those symbols and those pre-energizing those symbols. That's all that is, okay? But anyways, so I always think back to this because for me it was a life-changing thing, and I did overcome my fear of the Bible and, you know, my programming under that, and now I look at the Old Testament and I don't really put a whole lot of stock into it anymore anyways. Anyways, you guys know where I've gone with all that. I don't want to get into it, but I guess as I get closer to work here, I just wanted to sum all this up. Look, folks, we are infinitely powerful beings. We are fractals of God, which makes us God children of God, co-creators with Source, with God. We have these miraculous abilities. Just like Yeshua said, you could do greater than I. You can, you know, heal others. You can even move mountains. You know, you could do greater than I. I mean, he was trying to teach us, don't you know ye are gods? But we lost all that. And all the ancient texts now, they all point to that. The Vedic texts, a lot of the Egyptian teachings, a lot of the Sumerian. I've been digging into some of that, like there's a lot of hidden stuff in the Ainana's descent into the underworld. But anyways, we have these abilities, folks, and I would tell you, don't let religious dogma hold you back from learning how to heal yourself. See, we have the ability to interface in with the quantum field. We are creators. We are powerful beings. We have infinite healing abilities, and they don't want us to know this because we don't need their crap when you learn how to use these abilities yourself. You could ritual in a daily ritual, not a satanic ritual, people here, okay? Don't get caught up on the word ritual. You could come up with your own rituals, daily rituals, meditations and such, that you can use the energy of this realm and of yourself to heal, cleanse, and protect yourself. Okay? You can work with the elements of this realm. I've said I have a close affinity with the water element. Everything is consciousness, folks. Water is consciousness. And I respect water. I love water. It's probably my favorite element. And we have all of the elements in our body. We're made of them. And we can interface with those elementals also. The Druids understood this. That's why Christianity had to go by the sword and the cross and destroy the Druidic orders in northern France and throughout the British Isles back in the days. They had to get rid of this. You can't control a population that can heal and cleanse and protect itself energetically and spiritually, right? You need dumb sheep that are fearful and that are helpless, right? You don't want to be able to protect themselves from the wolf. You want them at the mercy of the wolf and at the mercy of the sheepdogs, right? That you don't want them thinking on their own, realizing that they're being penned up and that they're being herded and they're being fed upon. You don't want them understanding that, you know? Then they'll run away and want to live free on their own terms. So another thing I want you to understand about this, folks, like listen to how I explained how it happened, and I've tried to explain it as accurately as I can. You know, you got to understand, this was back when I was like 19 years old, you know. I've more than doubled that time since, so it's been a while, but it's stuck with me my whole life. And I'm not afraid of what I did anymore, and I understand there was nothing evil about it. It was pure good and pure intention. From my, you know, totally in alignment with the source and with my higher self. But listen to how I did it, and the key is, folks, imagination. Our imagination is so powerful. When you use the power of imagination along with our innate abilities and our own energy and thoughts and abilities, tapping into the higher dimensions through your higher self, you can do these things. I mean, I was able to mend a broken bone, and it was a pretty instantaneous like healing. Okay, I want you guys to understand that. Look, it's your imagination, because you're a co-creator. When you're interfacing in with the quantum field and you understand with your intentions what you're doing, you have a lot of power in this realm, folks. And they don't want you to understand this. See, this is what Yeshua knew and tried to teach. This is what a lot of your gurus of the past that could do a lot of like really insane like things you've heard about, you know, where they can teleport, they can levitate, you know, heal, do all these things. All these are possible, folks. It's just that when we come into this realm, into this game, the body has a certain limitation put on it. But I think a lot of that is the programming that's put on us. See, children have amazing imaginations, you know. That's why children are natural healers and such, you know. And they also operate from a higher level, higher vibratory love state. You know, even kids that are with parents that are really bad and stuff, you know, they still love them, you know, and they'll still do anything for that parent, because they were more recently in the home we come from, you know, where we've been in this game for a while, and we get locked down into these perceived limitations of the human avatar and the programming of the mind and religion and everything else. And then we were told we have no abilities, and we have to rely on these magic potions and stuff that they concoct. And you know, of course, all the poisons in our food and water and air and everything else, and poisoning our minds with their entertainment, all of that really breaks us down spiritually in this realm, and it controls us, you know, to a certain degree. So I would say, I mean, honestly, any of you guys out there, it may be worth your time to try some of this. If you're having like just start with something simple, folks. Look, if you have a headache, instead of going running and grabbing some Excedrin or something, maybe you should go lay down You know, put on some binaural beats or something, or just find a place where it's very quiet and there's no distractions, and lay there and do what I did, and maybe focus it on your you know, your crown chakra, on your head more. Focus your energy there and just give it a try. And it's not going to be instantaneous, folks. It takes some practice. Look, I think I would just got into that right mind frame, and everything clicked just right when I was able to do that, you know? And start there. I mean, if you can take away a headache, hey, now you don't have to go run and, you know, grab their magic, you know, potions, you know? And you guys know why I'm saying what I'm saying, right? Okay. No explanations needed. So, anyways, guys, I'm at work. I really do got to go. I know I tend to just chill in my car and keep running the video, but I really got to get out of here. But I hope you guys can all take something from this, okay? If I was able to do it, you can do it. So, you have to have belief. Use your imagination. I don't think there's an exact way to do these things. I think you can fashion your own way. And that's why there's so many different healing modalities and such. And prayer healing works too, folks. See, prayer healing goes along the same lines as this stuff that I'm talking about. Okay? So I know a lot of Christians will jump in there and say, oh, the only true healing is when you do prayer healing with, you know, through the Lord and all this. Folks, prayer healing works, especially when you have multiple people doing it. Now you have combined energy and thoughts because you're praying for this outcome, okay? And you're interfacing in with the quantum field. So it happens. That's the power of prayer healing. But it doesn't have to be religious prayer healing. You can do this in any way that works for you, okay? Anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'm really busy right now. I could still fit, you know, one or two of you in if you're interested in doing a one-on-one Zoom. Things should open back up a little bit in January. This is a hard time of year because it's hard for me to set a time when I don't know when I'm going to get home, you know, and when I don't have much of a window in the evening before I got to go back to bed because I go to work so early every day. So, but, you know, if one of you really still wants to, you know, do one of these Zooms and you know, trade your donation for my time, we can still try to set that up. So, anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.